Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, we are Arno and we make videos and a platform that helps students like you around the world get ready for the Duolingo English Test. Today, I am going to teach you 10 connecting words. Connecting words are also called transition words, and they help you to move from one idea to another idea in your writing and speaking responses. Connecting words are important in any language, but they are especially important in English. So it's very important that you know which connecting words are appropriate in which cases, and you get in the habit of using them. So that's why today I want to teach you 10 of the most useful connecting words that you can use right away in your responses to help organize your responses and get a higher score. Okay, let's jump in. First is for instance. This is a direct synonym for example, which means you can use it in exactly the same way. However, for instance is a little rare, so it can get you more points on the test. Here's an example. There are a lot of beautiful places in California. For instance, Lake Tahoe is gorgeous year-round. I could have said, for example, wouldn't have to change anything in the sentence, but instead I use for instance, and I think I'll get some more points for this. Here's another example. Many great writers have come from Ireland, for instance, James Joyce. It's important to note that you don't always have to start a new sentence when using for instance or for example. The question is whether what comes after for instance could be its own sentence. So in the first example, Lake Tahoe is gorgeous year-round. This could be its own sentence. Therefore, when I use for instance, I need to start a new sentence. In the second sentence, the part that comes after for instance, James Joyce, could not be its own sentence. It's just a name, which means I don't need to start a new sentence when I use for instance. All of that is also true of for example. I point this out because I see that this is a very common mistake among ESL students who are learning for example and for instance. So be sure to avoid that mistake. Number 2, on one hand and on the other hand. This is an elegant way to show contrast or difference between two things. For example, on one hand, I like going to the beach for vacation. On the other hand, it can be very expensive. You don't always need on one hand, actually. It can be implied. Here's an example. He does not have the required degrees for the position. On the other hand, he has a lot of relevant experience. So this is still very good writing, still makes perfect sense. And I didn't put on one hand before the first sentence, but I still used on the other hand before the second sentence. In certain cases, this is maybe more natural. However, I would recommend getting in the habit of using on one hand and on the other hand, because that way you can use even more advanced vocabulary. It makes your writing a little bit clearer, and these are things that will help you to get a higher score on the test. Number 3, therefore. This is a formal way to indicate that something causes something else. In other words, it's a synonym for so. So is a very basic, a very useful, but a very basic word. Therefore is a higher scoring synonym. For example, he did not study for the exam. Therefore, he did not pass. The young man tutored many younger students. Therefore, he won a community service award. It's important to note that when you use therefore, you need to start a new sentence. I would also recommend put therefore at the beginning of the sentence. When you read, you will likely see therefore not at the beginning of a sentence. You don't have to put it at the beginning of a sentence. However, as you are learning the word and preparing for the test, make your life easy. Just remember to put therefore at the beginning of the sentence and to always start a new sentence when you use therefore. So period, capital T, therefore, and then also put the comma after therefore. If you just remember that, then you can safely use therefore and be confident that it will get you more points on the test instead of losing you points on the test. Number 4, firstly, secondly, thirdly, finally. This is an excellent way to structure your responses to long writing and speaking questions like the writing sample and speaking sample. Here's an example. Let's say you are asked this prompt on the test. Do you prefer team sports or individual sports? Provide reasons and examples. And a response using firstly, secondly, thirdly, finally could look something like this. I prefer team sports for several reasons. Firstly, it is fun to be part of a team. It is like having a second family. Secondly, team sports teach us important life lessons. For example, I have learned how to compromise with other people thanks to team sports. Thirdly, team sports have less pressure. If I don't play well in a match, I can rely on my teammates to help me. Finally, I find team sports more interesting. You have to think about how to play well with the rest of the team, not just how to play well individually. I use firstly, secondly, thirdly, finally here to list out why I prefer team sports. So my first sentence says that I prefer team sports for several reasons. And then firstly, secondly, thirdly, fourth, these all indicate my specific reasons why I prefer team sports. So using firstly, secondly, thirdly, and finally in this way to list out your reasons for an opinion is such a simple yet effective strategy for the DET that will help you score so much higher. I know it looks very simple and easy. It can be hard to structure your ideas this way, but if you can learn how to do this and you can really get in the habit of using firstly, secondly, thirdly, and finally in this way, man, you are going to score so much higher on the test. Number 5 is next. This is a simple way to move from one idea to another in a sequence. This means it's a especially useful word when you are telling a story, which you certainly could be asked to do on the DET. For example, they will ask you to describe a time when you overcame a challenge, for example. And when you're telling a story, you can use next like this. I had a wonderful weekend. On Saturday, I woke up and went for a run. Next, I had brunch with my family. Just quickly, I wanted to let you know about Arno. If you are getting ready for the DET, then simply put, you need to create your Arno account. We give you unlimited practice questions for every question type for free. If you want to level up your vocabulary though, then you should really check out Arno's paid plans. With the credits that you get on the paid plans, you can get detailed feedback on your responses to writing and speaking questions. So Arno will give you an instant estimated score as well as a breakdown of how much advanced vocabulary you are using. Arno will also give you detailed feedback on your grammar and the vocabulary used in your response, and showing you how you can improve both to get a higher score. Arno will even rewrite your answer to make it sound like a native speaker wrote it using a bunch of advanced vocabulary and grammatical structures. So simply put, Arno's feedback is going to be the fastest way that you can improve your English and in particular your vocabulary to raise your score on the Duolingo English Test. So just head over to goarno.io to create your free account. Like I said, with the free account, you still get unlimited practice questions for all the question types, and you can check out some of those premium features, including also, I should mention, a vocabulary builder that will help you learn over 1,000 words that are most useful for the topics that Duolingo likes to use for writing and speaking questions. So, okay, pardon the interruption, but let's now get back to learning these vocabulary words. Number 6, in other words. This is an elegant way to introduce when you are clarifying or explaining something, usually in simpler terms. This will become clear with some examples. The climate model predicts a significant increase in temperature over the next century. In other words, it's going to get much hotter than it is now. So these two sentences say the same thing. The first sentence, though, uses technical language of the climate model predicts a significant increase in temperature over the next century. So to clarify what that really means, you can say, in other words, it's going to get much hotter than it is now. So it's explaining what the first sentence meant, but in simpler language. Here's another example. The project has experienced significant challenges. In other words, it will not be completed on time. So this second sentence, it will not be completed on time, clarifies the most important implication of the first sentence, which is the project has experienced significant challenges. So, in other words, it will not be completed on time, meaning the bottom line, the main point, the most important thing is that it will not be completed on time. It's really clarifying what the first sentence is saying. Number 7, furthermore. This is a direct synonym for moreover. Furthermore indicates the continuation of an idea or additional information that builds on the previous ideas. For example, the young woman is highly intelligent. Furthermore, she works very hard. So the first sentence talks about a positive characteristic of the young woman, and the second sentence talks about a second positive characteristic. So it is appropriate to use furthermore. The bad economy has made the Prime Minister unpopular. Furthermore, he is being investigated for corruption. So the first sentence is saying the Prime Minister is unpopular because of the bad economy. He's even more unpopular because he's being investigated for corruption. And that's indicated by the use of furthermore. With furthermore, it's important to be careful because this word is often misused. Here's an example. I like chocolate ice cream. Furthermore, my best friend likes strawberry. This is an incorrect use of furthermore. You need a word like however. I like chocolate ice cream. However, my best friend likes strawberry. This is because you like chocolate, but your best friend likes strawberry. There is a difference, which means you need a word like however, which shows difference. Furthermore does not show difference. Furthermore is a continuation of the same idea. I would also recommend that you don't use furthermore more than once within a paragraph or even a response. So in other words, don't do this. I prefer team sports for several reasons. Firstly, it is fun to be part of a team. It is like having a second family. Furthermore, team sports teach us important life lessons. For example, I have learned how to compromise with other people thanks to team sports. Furthermore, team sports have less pressure. If I don't play well in a match, I can rely on my teammates to help me. Furthermore, I find team sports okay. I think you get the idea. You don't want to use furthermore to continue to add ideas to your response. It would be much better to use firstly, secondly, thirdly in this context. I point this out because I see many students make this mistake. They use furthermore so much just to include some transition word as they are moving from one idea to another. Don't get into that habit. Instead, learn more transition words and learn the correct transition words that you can use for different contexts so that you don't have to overuse a word like furthermore. Number 8, moreover. This is a direct synonym for furthermore, which means you can use it in exactly the same way. So everything we just covered about furthermore also applies to moreover. You can alternate using moreover and furthermore to get more points. One of the things that Duolingo is looking for is not only whether you're using the right vocabulary or advanced vocabulary, but whether you are not repeating the same words over and over. So furthermore and moreover are both useful words, but it would be a good idea to memorize both and use them in an alternating fashion so that you can get even more points that way. Number 9, additionally. This is a close synonym of furthermore and moreover in the sense that it shows a continuation of ideas. You can also think of additionally as a synonym for also. For example, exercise will make you healthy. Additionally, it will make you feel great. We could have instead said that exercise will make you healthy. It will also make you feel great. However, additionally, more advanced word, if you use it, you will probably get more points instead of using also. Here's another example. He was unhappy about his grade on the test. Additionally, he got a bad grade on a project in another class. Okay, number 10, final word. This is an elegant way to emphasize when two ideas are similar. He decided to join the army. Similarly, his sister became a police officer. So, joining the army and joining the police are two similar things, so it makes sense to connect these two ideas with the word similarly. New York is wonderful to visit because it has so many great restaurants. Similarly, Paris also has a lot of delicious food. Both New York and Paris have a lot of great food, so we can connect those ideas using similarly. So those are 10 connecting words that you can use right away to raise your score on the DET. If you found this video helpful, I would really appreciate if you would like and subscribe. It takes just a moment for you, but it really makes a big difference for me. It will also help students like you around the world find this video so that they can get ready for the test. If you want to get more videos like this to learn vocabulary that will raise your score on the test, you should check out the other videos on our channel. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I will see you in a future video.